Tom Holland, the face of the modern Spider-Man era and one of the most reliable action stars Marvel and Sony Pictures have depended on, has suddenly been hit with a reality check that proves just how dangerous and demanding the world of stunt work in Hollywood can be, as reports confirmed across several major trades, including The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, and Variety, that the 29-year-old actor suffered a mild concussion while filming a stunt sequence on the set of the highly anticipated Spider-Man Brand New Day, an incident that occurred at Leavesden Studios in Watford, United Kingdom on a Friday that was supposed to be just another packed day of production, but instead turned into a sobering reminder of the risks actors face when committing to physically intense roles that demand both precision and courage. Because according to insiders, Holland was engaged in a stunt that, despite safety measures, resulted in him hitting his head hard enough to require immediate hospital treatment, though thankfully no other cast or crew members were injured in the process. And while Variety noted that Holland's condition was described as a mild concussion, which in medical terms suggests a temporary disruption of brain function often accompanied by dizziness, nausea, or headaches, the fallout is significant enough that filming was suspended for at least the day of the incident, with Holland ordered to take several days off to recover properly, a precautionary move that demonstrates the seriousness with which both the production and medical professionals are treating this matter. And it is important to remember that even a so-called mild concussion is no trivial issue, particularly for someone who must throw themselves physically into complex stunts while portraying a superhero whose agility, reflexes, and physical resilience are the centerpieces of the role. And the fact that Holland reportedly attended a charity dinner the very next night, accompanied by his father Dominic Holland and his fiancée and co-star Zendaya, only underscores the complexity of his recovery, because though his presence there was a sign of determination and perhaps reassurance to fans and colleagues, The Sun reported that he left early after feeling ill, further proving that even if the injury was categorized as mild, the lingering symptoms were real and disruptive, reminding everyone that rest and recovery are the only true remedies for such conditions. And now, Sony Pictures, which is co-producing Spider-Man Brand New Day with Marvel Studios, has confirmed that an urgent production meeting is scheduled for Monday to determine how best to proceed with the film's schedule, as the July 2026 release date remains fixed on the studio calendar, and any interruption in filming could potentially ripple through a complex timeline involving visual effects, marketing campaigns, and interconnected Marvel storylines. Though for now, the focus remains firmly on Holland's health and his ability to fully recover before resuming work. And the importance of this setback grows even more apparent when considering the scale of Spider-Man Brand New Day itself, which marks Holland's fourth standalone outing as Peter Parker following the critical and box office successes of Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017, Spider-Man Far From Home in 2019, and the monumental Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021, each of which solidified his place not only in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also in the cultural imagination of an entire generation that sees him as the definitive Spider-Man. And this new chapter has been positioned as both a continuation and a reinvention, with familiar faces such as Zendaya reprising her role as MJ, Jacob Batalon returning as the ever-loyal Ned Leeds, and larger Marvel figures like Mark Ruffalo stepping back in as Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, while Jon Bernthal joins the mainline franchise as the Punisher, and Michael Mando returns as Scorpion, creating a lineup that feels more like an ensemble epic than a single hero story, while new additions such as Liza Zayas from The Bear, Tremel Tillman from Severance, and Sadie Sink from Stranger Things indicate that the studio is expanding the Spider-Man universe with actors who bring fresh energy, different tonal layers, and the kind of dramatic credibility that can elevate what could otherwise be dismissed as just another comic book sequel. And it is against this backdrop of massive ambition and heightens fan expectation that Holland's injury now looms as a stark reminder of the human vulnerability behind the mask, because while audiences marvel at the seamless spectacle of CGI-enhanced action, what often goes unseen are the very real, very physical sacrifices made by performers like Holland, who insist on doing as much of their own stunt work as possible. And though he has long been praised for his athleticism and dedication, this incident will undoubtedly reignite conversations about the balance between authenticity and safety in blockbuster filmmaking, with some arguing that stars should leave dangerous stunts to professionals no matter how committed they are, while others point out that it is precisely this willingness to risk so much that makes actors like Holland so magnetic to audiences. Yet regardless of the debate, the immediate priority must remain his recovery, and while fans may feel frustrated by even the hint of a delay, the truth is that no film, no matter how massive, is worth jeopardizing the health of the very performer who carries it on his shoulders. And as Sony and Marvel weigh their options, the industry at large will be watching closely, aware that any adjustment to Brand New Day's schedule could create ripple effects across the already tightly interwoven Marvel release calendar, which relies on carefully timed premieres to maintain continuity and fan momentum. But even beyond the logistics, the narrative here is emotionally charged, because Holland is not just another actor in a costume. He's a figure whose journey has been entwined with Spider-Man since he was first cast as a teenager, and fans have watched him grow up on screen while shouldering the immense responsibility of embodying one of the most beloved characters in pop culture. And to see him vulnerable, to hear reports of him feeling unwell after an injury, is to be reminded that behind the mask is a young man who, despite fame and success, is still human, still fragile, still subject to the same physical limits as anyone else, which makes this story resonate even more powerfully. And as commentary channels, industry analysts, and fan communities dive into this incident, the key takeaway should not be panic or sensationalism, but perspective. Because if anything, this episode highlights both the dedication of Holland to his craft and the professionalism of the production for halting filming and reassessing plans, proving that even in the high-pressure environment of blockbuster filmmaking, there remains a commitment to safety and well-being. And while the headlines about concussions and hospital visits may feel dramatic, the broader truth is that this pause allows for healing, reflection, and a reminder that even superheroes must step back sometimes. And in the long run, that pause may strengthen rather than weaken the final product, because audiences will walk into Spider-Man Brand New Day not just with excitement for the next chapter of the story, but with a deeper appreciation for the very real resilience of the actor at its center, an appreciation that can transform box office dollars into something more meaningful, a collective recognition of the risks and sacrifices that bring cinematic fantasies to life. And so as Tom Holland rests and regains his strength, as Sony and Marvel recalibrate production schedules, and as fans around the world hold their breath for updates, one truth stands out clearly, that this incident, though alarming in the moment, is far from the end of the story, but instead another chapter in the saga of an actor who has defined a generation's image of Spider-Man, a chapter that underscores his humanity, his vulnerability, and ultimately his enduring strength. And when the cameras roll again and Holland dons the suit once more, the knowledge of what he endured and overcame will only make his performance more compelling, because Spider-Man has always been about resilience in the face of adversity, and now life has written that theme directly into Holland's own journey, ensuring that when Spider-Man Brand New Day finally hits theaters in July 2026, it will carry with it not only the weight of fan expectations and studio ambition, but also the unshakable reminder that behind every superhero is a human being who must first heal before they can fly again.